Transcendence comes out Friday, so it looks like this week's going to be about artificial intelligence. What's up, everybody? Yeah, I know every week's a little bit about artificial intelligence on this channel, but today we're going to talk about The Machine that came out in 2013 out of the UK, written and directed by Caradog W. James. And the film overall has some great stuff going on. We'll get into that in a minute, but setting is that it's the near future, and China and the Western world have entered into this nasty Cold War that's led the Western world into recession. And instead of developing weapons of mass destruction, they're basically creating super intelligent computers to fight each other. And that's something that's pretty freaking plausible because I've read all about the singularity. That's why I wanted to see this movie. That's why I want to see Transcendence. And the story in the setting is that there's, of course, this doctor working for the MOD, and he's trying to create, you know, their version of their super intelligence, and he's been working on it. And that's how the film starts, with him interviewing different computers, doing the Turing test. So I was all into it. And then he brings this girl in to work with him. She's another intelligent computer designer, basically a programmer. And from there, things happen. I don't want to go into all the plot twists, but they wind up creating the machine, which is basically the artificial intelligence they created in a brain form, put into like a cybernetic body. So we get into some Terminator stuff, but this movie basically has a ton of sci-fi cliches. Anything from Ghost in the Shell, Blade Runner, definitely some hints of Blade Runner and Terminator. The first scene reminded me clearly of Terminator. I'm sure the guy's a James Cameron fan. But as the film started really strong and had not as many cliches, the cliches worked up, and the film by the end had just, I thought, completely went downhill, definitely. I don't know, it just turned me off. I think it was some of the character development was just so weak, and the plot seemed paced poorly, and just some stuff, I mean, I could go into nitpicking. The best thing about this movie is some of the strong concepts they had and the way it looked. I loved the way it looked, but everything else was weak. And even though the story is like mediocre at best, I thought it just plodded along, and by the end I was just like, is it over yet? And I thought about it all night, and there was a few things I just want to nitpick on. There's like the first, you know, wave of soldiers who have like cybernetic implants because they're wounded war veterans, supposedly. And that's something, of course, that we see now, you know, implants, artificial limbs and all that stuff. But they have this plot device where once they've had the implant, after a while, they can't vocally talk, which was stupid because they made it sound like they couldn't communicate at all. But if they have a computer chip in their brain, they could still type on a computer. And what makes these people think in the MOD that they're not going to somehow try to patch into the mainframe computer or use some sort of Wi-Fi? But they never address any type of like Wi-Fi or can they talk to other computers. It's totally stupid. They're just like, oh, they can't talk. And it's kind of like a double-edged sword piece. It's kind of cool because when the computers talk to each other, it's like sort of like gibberish. And then, of course, later in the movie, you find out that, of course, they can communicate with each other. Duh, fuck. It's like my cell phone can call the other cell phone. Just because someone has a chip in their brain and they can't talk vocally doesn't mean they can't communicate with like the mainframe supercomputer or fucking each other. I don't know. The Ministry of Defense didn't check that before or scan that or was running, you know, checking for transmission signals. I mean, I can see when there's a Wi-Fi signal coming from my house. That part just bugged me. And not only that, if you cut all that out, they're like, oh, they can't talk. If they have a computer chip in their brain, you replace their arm, you replace part of their brain with a computer. You can't make a fucking little voice box that can just interpret their thoughts like a computer voice? All right. That was a little bit of a tangent. Sorry. But that just bugged me. The more I thought about it, it just bugged the hell out of me. Overall, I'm going to give the film a 2.5 out of 5. Originally, I was so pissed at the end of it, I was only going to give it a 2 out of 5. Because, like I said, they took a lot of concepts, some stuff that was pretty cool, and they just, like, added some kind of semi-weak acting. I don't know. You can tell me the decision on the girl that played the robot. I didn't like the way she did it either. So, a lot of stuff turned me off. Every sci-fi cliche possible. And that wasn't the bad part. The bad part was just the pacing. And just the way it ended, it was just so stupid. And that stupid voice shit. God, I am going off on a tangent. Fuck. Yeah, it just bugged me. Because I was so excited, and the first 15 minutes were good, and the movie looked so good visually. And even the way they did the special effects, I thought was pretty fucking cool. And just, I don't know, just, I guess weak character development, bad script. I don't know, just 2.5 out of 5. Tell me if I'm not too generous or I'm being a dick. All right, guys, see you soon. Sorry for all the cussing. Bye.